You're a peaceful protest group. You don't expect to be monitored by Homeland Security and likened to Al-Qaeda. But that's what's been going on under the ever-watchful eye of Pennsylvania's Homeland Security Office. Until the state's governor, Ed Rendell, a frequent guest on this show who could not join us today, put an end to it. Scott Davis was one of the activist protesters being tracked. Also with us, the man who went from Patriot Act proponent as a Republican congressman to one of the fiercest critics of excessive government power, former Representative Bob Barr. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Congressman Barr, to you first. Is the government going after Tea Partiers and constitutionalists and libertarians by painting them with a brush as if they were terrorists or somehow dangerous to freedom?
They sure are. It's in Pennsylvania, and it's in other states as well, Judge. That's the insidious nature of these so-called fusion centers that governments all across the country are setting up. And basically, this is not about security, it's about control. As Ayn Rand, the great 20th century philosopher, for example, correctly noted many, many years ago, if you take away a man's privacy, you gain the ability to control him. That's what this is all about. It's outrageous, and I commend Governor Rendell for stopping this, but that's just the tip of the iceberg,
right.
Judge.
All right, Scott Davis, before Governor Rendell got involved and stopped this, you belong to an organization that's interested in, quote, individual freedom, personal liberty, and defending the Constitution of Pennsylvania and the Constitution of the United States of America. What the heck objection could the government possibly have to that?
The objection came from an article I put together in August of 2009 touching on the closed-circuit cameras that were popping up along our state's highways in our local cities. In essence, I created a map detailing these locations, and I was compared to the terrorists overseas, career criminals that use the research like this to map out a plan to attack the infrastructure.
All right, so let me get this straight. You went out and you found in public view, in public places, the surveillance cameras that the government put up so the government could watch us in its hope that we forget that it's watching us. And you exposed what the government is doing in public, and they didn't like it. So what did they do to you?
In a bulletin issued by the Institute of Terrorism Research and Response, it listed the website that I run, parevolution.com, and myself by name as a source to be watchful of. They described me along the lines of a domestic terrorist, overseas, career criminals, and ultimately I haven't been visited, but at the same time I'm in that bulletin with that comparison.
Congressman Barr, this is reprehensible that any government would do this. This young man and his group are telling people in public what the government is doing in public by violating our privacy, and the government threatens him and demonizes him. What can we do about it?
What we can do certainly is to seek redress in the Congress. We have a new Congress coming in, and although I'm not real optimistic, Judge, about this particularly new Congress coming in and doing something to start restoring our civil liberties that have been taken over the last decade or so, I think it's important to at least try that. We also need to be supporting groups like EPIC, the Electronic Privacy Information Center, that is suing TSA, for example, and other groups. Think about what they're doing to this young man. He may never know in what ways his name appearing in this bulletin or whatever it is may hurt him, may keep him from getting a job or an interview or getting credit or whatnot.
All because
that needs to be redressed.
All because he is exercising his fundamental, natural right to free speech. Scott Davis, Bob Barr, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.
Here's something you have a right to know about the Constitution that also has had a big impact on the economy over the years. The Constitution grants to Congress the power to regulate interstate commerce. That meant the power to keep commerce regular, flowing regularly between the states. Over time, though, the Interstate Commerce Clause came to be seen as an excuse for Congress to regulate virtually anything, from gun ownership to moving from one state to another, even to growing wheat in your backyard that never leaves your property. And lately, the Commerce Clause has been used by Congress to regulate, are you ready for this, the amount of sugar in ketchup, the water pressure in your home shower, the thickness of the leather in your shoes, and the health care it forces you to purchase. Give the government an inch, and it takes a mile. Forget Big Brother, it's the big banker you'll need to watch out for. Our freedom fighters are next.